I'm also a big believer in like advice without context is like at best useless and at worst probably detrimental. Yeah. I think one of my favorite principles about growing audience is that like the only thing you can really control is the input rather than the output numbers. So output being like impressions, reach, or likes, reacts, or whatever. Whereas inputs is more about like the questions you ask or the cadence of your posting or like what platform are you on or what stories you're telling. So I really try to index on that, and I think I completely agree with your point. I think one thing I'm really like proud of or happy about is that like within LinkedIn, like 30% of my audience is founders. Actually, I think it's even a bit more, maybe like towards like 40% is like founders. And that's really exciting because that's obviously the demographic that I really want to reach and help them on their next journey.
I love the input versus output thing you've just mentioned, and I think that is important right now because I was going to ask you like, wow, 1,200 subscribers. How did you get to that output? How did you get that many subscribers? How did you build that audience? But I think the more important question here, which will help answer that question, is like the input, like the strategy behind how you arrived at the structure of your like structure is one very important piece of the puzzle. Was that like I listened to one of your most recent episodes and I loved that I felt like I was about halfway through the episode before I learnt about the guest and his company, but it didn't feel wrong. I was just like that halfway through that episode came so quickly because I was just so drawn in to the way that the episode unfolded. How did you do that? How did you land on that structure? Was that an evolution or was that like, yeah, tell me that story.
Yeah, so everything is an evolution, right? Like the first few episodes, sometimes I don't listen to it because I feel cringe at myself, but it really is an evolving structure. But one of the first thing that I always had in mind, like coming into Founders in Motion, is I have pretty bad like attention problems. Therefore, I can never really listen to like a 1 hour episode, and I'm really drawn to like insights and tactical stories, like straightforward. Nothing really bores me more than like if a podcast starts with like, hello, how's the weather, what's your name, how did you grow up, like what is your company, like gosh, like can we like get to the meat of the story? So
Yeah.
I really wanted to create a structure where you can get really engaged in the story and learn something even if you're just flying into the episode very quickly at the get-go before we even introduce the company, which sometimes like it does make it a little bit complicated in the sense that like I have to figure out how to introduce the context of the episode during the intro so people feel like it's not too much too soon. But I think that is like one of the key differentiation I think about when I structure an episode, like how do I index on value, but like I'm also a big believer in like advice without context is like at best useless
Mm-hmm.
and at worst probably detrimental. So that's why
Yep.
all the pieces of advice has to be wrapped up around the context of the